Today, I'm very excited for you to hear from our ex-student, Caitlin Figueiredo. She is a proud multicultural Australian, social entrepreneur, activist, and Merici Alumni. She sits on 3 United Nations task forces, and her work spans 5 continents. At 20 years old, Caitlin was named one of Australia's 100 most influential women and an Obama White House Changemaker for gender equality by the President and Michelle Obama. Caitlin represents 4.3 million young Australians as a board director of the Australian Youth Affairs Coalition, and in partnership with UN Women, founded Jasiri Australia, a youth-led movement on a mission to build a generation of fearless women with the skills, support and resilience to lead change. Caitlin was included on the Forbes 30 Under 30 list for organising the world's largest Girls Takeover Parliament Program, with the federal parliament to promote democracy and increase female representation. Currently completing a double degree in law and international development in her spare time, Caitlin runs a small education business and was named ACT Young Woman of the Year and a 2008 Queen's Young Leader. Let us give a warm Merici welcome to Caitlin.
So thank you so much for having me here today. I apologise in advance for my voice. I currently have pneumonia and my voice sounds like a little bit weird, so bear with me. It is so great to be here at Merici. I was here a couple of months ago and I got to walk around the campus, and oh my gosh, you guys are so lucky. You have no idea. You have all these advances in technology and in brand new rooms, and I am very jealous. I wish I was still a Merici girl right now. So someone once told me that I was a change maker. Now, I think that's a little bit weird. It's weird because I never saw myself as someone who could influence. I never saw myself as someone who could lead. Because the people around me told me that I was unworthy. They told me that because I had mental illness, I would never be able to stand in front of people like all of you today, because they would think that I was crazy. I remember a friend of mine telling me that I would never be able to go to university, I could never have a family, or I could never have a career. I was 15 years old, I was a Merici girl when my friend told me this. And it was a time when I desperately wanted to fit in. But now, because of my mental illness, I was told that I would never be accepted. But that's kind of crazy, because when they told me this, I was in your seats. And a little under 7 years later, I'm now considered a change maker. Every single day, I get to wake up to the best job in the world. A job that allows me to work with incredible young women like yourselves, here in Australia and overseas, with big organisations like the United Nations. When I go to work, the decisions that I make affect millions of young women and girls around the world. So, no pressure. I have the privilege to work in this space because I learned a simple word, and that word is yes. I love saying the word yes. I love saying yes to opportunities. I love saying yes to happiness, and I love saying yes to creating my own opportunities. But I didn't always say yes. You see, when I was in year 8, I remember sitting in front of the library, it was the middle of winter, and my friend and I were in this discussion. Well, actually, it's more like an argument. And I can't remember what she said, or why we were arguing, but I remember her saying that, Caitlin, why do you have to be so negative all the time? And I was kind of shocked. It must have been bad because that was the last time we ever spoke. What makes matters worse was later that afternoon, I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. I remember sitting in my doctor's surgery thinking, okay, I have mental illness, but what does that mean? I felt like my life was over because I kept hearing the negative perceptions of popular culture, which says that people with mental illness are crazy. And I thought, oh, hang on, does that mean I'm crazy? Does that mean I'm flawed? I started thinking all the negatives, so I created a bubble around myself. I felt like if I could stay inside my perfect bubble, I could start saying no to my family, no to my friends, I'd never have to go out, I'd never have to be vulnerable. So I kept saying no. And all these no's led me down a really dark path. Until one day, one of my Merici teachers, Miss Gunn, came up to me and said, Caitlin, I want you to try something. I want to challenge you for 1 week to say yes. I want to see what that feels like, within reason. So I started doing that. For 1 week, I said yes. And at first it was really hard. I didn't like it. My parents thought I was really weird for saying yes to them for the first time in like 2 years. But a funny thing happened. Suddenly, my mind shifted. Instead of being scared about my flaws, or as society calls it, mental illness, I started embracing them. I realized that mental illness is not a flaw, rather it is a stamp of courage. So I started saying yes more. And every time I started saying yes, my courage grew. I began to love life again, until one day I woke up and I was in charge of a youth organisation called World Vision VGen ACT. VGen is a youth movement on a mission to end poverty. I was able to become a director of a national organisation by 19, by saying yes to someone who gave me an opportunity. Now the thing is, when I said yes, I had absolutely no leadership skills. Prior to this, I was an elite athlete for 2 years. Yes, I know I don't look like it now, but I was. I would travel around Australia playing against Olympians, and I'd even play it internationally. But when this opportunity came up, I decided that if I didn't know something, I'd fake it until I made it, or I'd Google it. And this is something that I'd encourage all of you to do. Because you see, women generally only say yes to opportunities if they are 86% qualified. Whereas men say yes when they only have 40% of the qualifications. Just maybe, by saying yes, we can start increasing equality. But when this opportunity came up with World Vision, everything finally clicked. I realised that my purpose in life was to serve, something that Merici had tried to show me for years. So from that moment on, I decided that I was going to try my hardest to say yes to serving people. So I started to say yes to service and yes to life. And that led me to the United Nations. At 20 years old, I was leading an international team for the United Nations Secretary General to ensure that 62 million girls who are currently out of school because of their gender or their periods got access to a safe education. And I was in charge of building a program that tackled this stigma and focused on getting these girls into education. So again, no pressure, no imposter syndrome here. This then led me to the White House, where at 21 years old, I was at the White House meeting Michelle Obama, which is absolutely crazy because I think she's the most perfect human being on the entire planet. And suddenly, she was the one who named me a changemaker. So again, I thought, if my bestie Michelle calls me a changemaker, then I'm gonna think I'm a changemaker. So I started to view myself differently. I started saying yes more times than I said no. This led me to phone calls with the President of the United States, Barack Obama, not Orange Man, Barack Obama, to taking over Parliament House and stopping the Prime Minister from leaving his own private courtyard until I finished what I had to say. And all that kept leading to more and more and more. I ended up in places beyond my wildest dreams. For example, last month, I was flown to England to meet the Queen at Buckingham Palace. It's absolutely ridiculous. There I was, sitting in this amazing red throne room, and they're playing Coldplay on strings. And there was the Queen. I was so nervous meeting her that when they called out my name, I felt like I was going to pass out. That's when Meghan Markle, aka Duchess of Sussex, locked eyes with me, and she mouthed, "Breathe. It will be okay." So the next time, girls, you're feeling a little stressed, just do what the Duchess does and breathe. Because yes, it will be okay. I didn't have time to process if what I saw was real or not. So I took a giant breath, I curtsied, and I received an award from Her Majesty for being a change maker at the age of 22. But if that didn't top it, as I was talking to Sir John, another former Prime Minister of the UK, a palace guard came up to us and said, "Excuse me, the Duchess requests a private audience with you." So that's when Sir John straightened up his coat and started to walk. Before the palace guard stopped him and said, "Sorry, no sir, not you, her." I have never seen a leader more shocked in his life. I entered this amazing room. and that's when Meghan Markle came up to me, followed by Harry, and she said, "Hey, did you get my message?" Like, hey, did you get my message? And I'm like, oh, hang on, that was real? And she's like, yeah, we had a moment. I'm like, we had a moment. I started freaking out because it actually was real. But how does this actually happen? How do I go from sitting in your seats literally 7 years ago to suddenly being in some of the most powerful rooms with the most powerful people on the planet, affecting change and helping to build the dreams of millions of women and girls? Well, it all started right here in these halls. Merici taught me a lot. Merici was my home for so long. It gave me great friends. It fostered passions like art. Because in fact, if you were to walk around the schools, you would find a little bit of my legacy, which will probably outlive me. I created 2 works of art. For example, about 10 years ago, the Marilyn Monroe picture in the old quad that has a horrible smile, but don't judge me. I was 13 years old and I did it by hand, whereas everyone else cheated and they did it by copying it. Or the boggon moth in the garden outside, where my best friend Julandi and I spent an entire term painstakingly designing the moth, creating and choosing the tiles, smashing it, laying it, and yes, it's still not finished. So one day, Merici, I'm coming back to finish it. But Merici taught me to love life. They taught me to push boundaries and taught me that when I fail, that I can always get back up. You see, I owe a lot to this school. In particular, the amazing teachers who believed in me when I just couldn't, like Miss Fraser, Mr. Barlow, Miss B, Miss McLeod, and Miss Cohen. So my last piece of advice to all of you girls is that when people say that you have the power to change the world, believe them. But more importantly, believe in yourself and believe in the power of saying yes. In my relatively short life, I have struggled with mental illness. I have missed more school days than I can count. I was a college dropout, and I failed more times than I won. And technically, if that was my story, I should not be standing in front of you now. But if it wasn't for the support of this school, if it wasn't the support of my parents and following my passion or purpose, or having the courage to say yes, I would not be here. So say yes to help. Say yes to opportunities. Because you don't have to do everything on your own. But it's easier to get where you want to go if you have help of others. And now, I don't view my flaws or my tipsy-turvy journey as something to be ashamed of, because they're what make me, me. And at the Alumni Madeline Foundation, an organisation that I'm ambassador for, they gave me this word. They said, anytime that you think of yourself as imperfect, don't view yourself as that, because you're not awesome, you're flawsome. I believe that being awesome is the way to change the world. It's knowing that we have the potential to turn our weaknesses into our strengths. It's allowing ourselves to be imperfect and knowing that we are all destined for greatness. But we can only do that if we use what we have around us, our emotions, our friends, our teachers, our support systems. And by doing so, we become the people who we were born to be, people capable of changing the world. So I just want to announce and thank Merici because Merici College said yes. A couple months ago, I came to the school when I created Jasiri Australia, and I put a challenge out to the school to say, I challenge every single Merici girl to participate in our empowerment self-defense programs in a way for us to build a fearless movement of change. And Merici College has said yes. So next month, we're all going to gather together and learn empowerment self-defense to show that not only are girls are the future, but we are fearless and no one can destroy us. So thank you, Merici. I am so proud to be a Merici College alumni. I'm so proud to be here today. I hope that all of you girls know that your life is full of wonderful, amazing things. I hope that you say yes to life. And I hope that you understand that you're all awesome, amazing individuals. Thank you so much.